Hello and welcome, everybody. This is our season 2, episode 2, and it's our first special guest of the season. We're here. I'm based in Ireland. I'm your host today, Susie von Menzenkampf. My co-host is in Canada.
Hello, I'm Ramsey Chiri. I'm a holistic alchemist. I forgot what I do. Isn't that just amazing? It was
But
a stressful
luckily,
Yeah, go ahead.
But luckily, the show isn't about us today. The show is all about our special guest. And we want to just extend a warm welcome to a dear friend of all of the team here and an amazing, inspiring woman. Her name is Sue Cooper, and she hails from Nottingham in the UK. And she has a phenomenal kind of I'm just looking at her bio, but I'll just give you a quick overview of Sue's bio with over 4 decades of nursing in her background. But since those days, she's also gone on and learned about teaching meditation and mindfulness. She studied at the Chopra Center to become an Ayurvedic Lifestyle Educator. Her passion really is in the science and art of holistic integrative care practices. But not only that, she does so much more. Maybe I'll just put in little pieces as we go through the call today or the session, and tell them more about what all the many roles that you play in your community. So welcome, Sue. We're so delighted that you said yes and to have you here with us.
Thank you. And it's an absolute delight to be here as well. Thank you for asking me. And we were lucky enough to meet together and with Kathy and others in real life in October at the Science and Consciousness. So yeah, I feel very comfortable being here with you guys. What can I do for you today?
Well, where do we start? Like I really, I've known Sue for a long time, and it's like a friendship. You get to know more and more about a person over time. But I'd love to ask you today, Sue, if I may, just the origins of your story. Like, from being probably a very stressed out nurse, full-time occupation with your family and everything else that goes with that. What was that sort of moment, that bridge from one to the other? What was it like, maybe before and after?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. It's really at the heart of what happened to me was I was not enabled to be creative in my nursing practice. And what happened was my husband and I had a care home group. We prided ourselves on our creativity, that as long as we worked within safeguarding practices and all the professional requirements that surround us, we could have a good time. We take the residents off to the horse races, and we got up to all sorts. But it was good. It was empowering for people, and it was a continued life rather than being in care and stopping and sitting and being. It was still being an active member of a community. And then the authorities, and I really do believe they were doing their best, but they started to question our what's the word really, pioneering approach to keeping people very much alive and well in community whilst residing in a residential or nursing home. And bit by bit, they would come in and they would obviously inspect us, and that was incredibly important. But the objective standards that we were measured against were being then added the subjective interpretation. So an inspector would say, yes, you're meeting the standard, however, I don't like the way you're doing this. So I, not being very good at following rules if they don't make sense, said, well, we are following the standards and we are safeguarded. And well, we don't like the way that you write your care plan, so we want you to do it this way. So, I I had to obviously work within the parameters, so we would change things. But over the period of about 3 years, where the trajectory we were so successful in was starting to shift by each time another inspector came. Okay, we like the way you do this. Can you do it this way? So we were getting locked in to just follow this very simple path of somebody comes into the care home and they sit and they maybe do some singing and watch telly, but that wasn't enough really. So then I started to question my own abilities, and then I started to self-doubt, and then, you know, the downward spiral of going, well, I better not do that because I'll be, you know, the regulations won't like that. So from being this creative to being somebody who could actually make a decision was something that was caused stress. I didn't realize it was stress at the time, but I lost me. I disappeared. I totally disappeared. And I felt the whole time for about 18 months that I'd got blinkers on and this baseball cap, and I only dare look in this tiny little direction, and I kept thinking, would that be all right? Won't that be all right? Should I do it? So I got locked into actually not being able to make a decision. In the meanwhile, my family flourished, and you know, but I just went. So I went to the doctor and I said, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I seem to be disappearing. He goes, oh, you're depressed. Let me give you some antidepressants. No. Okay. So I took the antidepressant prescription. It was quite strange because I knew I wasn't going to take them. I knew I wasn't even going to get this prescription made up, but I knew that if I held this, then it could be that if I did need them, I had something. But it was like, I don't need this. There's something else that I need to do. So I went to see a friend one day and she said, what's wrong with you? I said, I don't know. And then I burst out crying. And she said, do you know what? I think I know what I can do to help you. Can I help you? Yes, please. So she gave me a book on Ayurveda, a coffee table book. It was huge, massive, thick as thick can be, with every ritual you can think about in the world. And you know, I used to laugh at this, thinking, how the heck can you possibly do all these rituals and go to work? You know, it's a full-time job. But I just knew that if I held this book, I felt calmer because there's something in there that I'd be able to look at when the time was right. And then she also said, and I'm going to take you to a meditation class. And I'm going, well, I don't meditate. I don't know how to do that. I'm too busy to do all that. She says, well, I'm going to take you on Thursday night. And she took me, literally, she took me by the hand. And for a few years, we went to the meditation class each week with a group. There was a group of us. And I slept like a log that night. It's the only time I slept. And I knew something was happening, but I had no idea what it was. So I just gave into it and just allowed whatever was happening. Kind of that was the start. That was in 2004, 2005 maybe. And then in 2007, we sold the business. I just didn't want to do it anymore. And I put my hands in the sea that day, the day we sold. 31st of May 2007 at 12 midday, roughly. And I said, please heal me. Please help me find my healing. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to find. I don't know what to do. But please help. And things happened. I surrendered. Yeah.
So how hard was it to switch? You know, you were in a go-go type of an environment and you went to a more quiet, relax. I can't say relaxing, but more in the flow. I'm sure that was kind of hard, especially at the beginning.
Yeah, because I'm busy. Still busy. We were lucky that because we sold our company, we had 6 months where we needed to continue to be busy in terms of organizing all the paperwork and stuff. So there was purposeful there. But then I could pick up my meditation even more. Rather than do it once a week, I could do it more regularly with friends. I knew I had to get away. I just knew I had to leave everything. My children had gone off to university and a gap year. And my husband and I said, we need to travel. And I needed to find healing, but I just knew there was this inner knowing that I needed to find Indigenous healing. So we started off and we put rucksacks on our backs. I carried a very heavy rucksack, thinking I had to take all my hair straighteners with me and my beauty products to India. I ended up having to ship it all home because I couldn't lift my rucksack. But we went to an Ayurvedic retreat. It was cheap and cheerful, not even any hot water, but we had there was a gathering of about 10 of us. And then my husband and I travelled from Kerala in the south of India for 5 months up the west coast of India, stopping. We had a rough guide and a Lonely Planet. It was really before internet had really got going. And we sent the children a plane ticket for Holi. They appeared in Holi around Easter time. And I just took it day by day and journaled. I knew I had to journal. I had to follow the path that I was taking, even though I didn't know what I was doing and where I was going. But I knew I needed to keep a record of it. And I've got books and books and books and books of stuff. But the one thing that I took with me that was given to me was Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. Tiny little book that was big enough to put in my rucksack with all my other stuff. And I think I probably read it every day. And every day I read it, I saw something different in it. So that was my constant. And on the days I didn't read it, something felt missing. So I pick it up again. So we went to India for that length of time. And then we came home and we did some more stuff here. And I started gathering groups together in my house and in other groups to learn meditation techniques and holistic wellbeing techniques. And then we went off to Africa for 4 months, drove across 9 countries of Africa. And again, I was following the different tribes, in the different countries. What was at the heart of a lot of these places didn't even have electricity. What were the circadian rhythms that these people were living by? And there was always so much laughter. And then we kept our journeys going. We'd come home and then we'd go off to Bhutan and Burma and Bagan and South America. And it was where, and because we were away for a long period of time, we had to do it on the cheap. We were staying at hostels with gap year students who would call us, here comes gap year mum and dad in India, and we'd keep staying in different places and we'd buy each other drinks, and it was such fun. But when I came home, I found that I moved back into that stress situation because I moved back into the reality of home life and being, the wife, the mum, the person in the community. And then I felt I became my true self when I went away into nature, basically. Yeah. So.
Wow. It's like, I love hearing, that adventure, that it truly was an adventure, traveling around the world like that, seeking and searching, reconnecting, I suppose. Beautiful. But I'm going to jump you forward. We're going to take a quantum leap forward to when I first met you, I suppose it was at a retreat in Ireland. But then I went on to when you were doing one of these big events that you do, because Sue doesn't do anything by small in halves, at least. And so Sue is also the founder of MOMM, which is Moments of Mass Mindfulness. And she also has another program website, which is Self-Care World. And so I suppose what's phenomenal then is kind of where the incredible journey around the world, led to ultimately from the point where we met. And the MOMM event that I met, I had met her before that, but the MOMM event, I remember being really struck by it when I arrived. It was my first time in Nottingham. And there were all these volunteers and there were hundreds of people in the town, in the market square, I think you call it. And the premise was that you got everybody to meditate. I think, was it at noon or something like that? I'd love you to share that. Like, that massive leap that you made to create such a profound event?
Well, I've been asking, and I think we all do this. What's my purpose? Why am I here? What the heck's it all about? And that was one of the soul questions, obviously, with the Chopra, the Ayurvedic Lifestyle Educator program. And then I had a dream in 2016. It was so vivid that I had to wake up and write it down. And this has become my guiding purpose, even to this day, which was I was to co-create compassionate communities throughout the globe and integrate holistic healing hubs. So when I woke up, I thought, oh God, I've had very vivid dreams. I looked at my journal to write something in the morning. I went, what's this? It was all upside down all over the place because I'd written it in the dark. Oh, I remember. Well, what does this mean? Anyway, I was shown the next night I had another dream, and I was shown the 9 people that I was to call together to discuss it. So I wrote all that down and then went back to sleep. And so that next day I phoned, well, I didn't phone, whatever we did in those days, 2016, contacted these 9 people who were either in research, who were meditation teachers, who were in the arts, who were in the sciences, but all active practitioners in our community, and said, I've had this dream. I know I need to honor it, but I don't know how to do it. Will you meet? That we need to get together. And they all said yes. And they were all free the following Thursday. And the room became available. And it sounds unreal, but it was so easy. And we met in this room, and I told them about my dream. And I also dreamt that we were to bring these holistic practitioners together in circle in the market square. It's called the Old Market Square. So it spells OMS. Old Market Square. So it had to be in the OMS Square in our city, which is if you lie on the ground, it's on the left-hand side of the UK, in the heartlands, it's called. So it was like, the beating heart of our country and the OMS Square. So I could see, I absolutely could visualize everybody in the market square, which is a big square, in little tents, sharing their professions with others. And then one of the ladies said, well, it would make sense to draw people in to have a mass meditation. So we started talking about the mass meditation event that the Maharishi Transcendental Meditation people did in 1993, I think, the world... forgotten the name, but they did it in Washington, DC, and the impact it had. So we looked at the research and said, okay, well, let's do this. So we gathered the volunteers, the community angels, and they're all the people who've all been meditating together. And it took us 9 months to get this organised. A lot of it hinged on Susie and Sarah McLean coming over. Please, will you come? Because I hadn't got the courage to lead the meditation. And we had somebody who was a master of ceremonies all booked, we thought. So it's like, okay, push these people forward. What we didn't realise was nobody booked the master of ceremonies. So we had to run the whole thing on this huge stage. But Susie and Sarah, with the goodness of their heart, just flew in. And we had, we know 1,000 people. We had free tickets, but we needed for security to make sure that there's enough security for the amount of people, even though it was an open square. So we sold, as it were, free tickets. So 1,000 tickets went. We think about 800 people turned up on the day. And we know about 4,500, 5,000 people came through the square. But what actually happened on that day was we moved from a competition between ourselves in terms of practitioners into collaboration, because we found each other, we met each other together. And when Sarah, we had the Lord Mayor and we had the High Sheriff of Nottingham, all these, beautiful, the chain gang we call them, because they all wear these big gongs and stuff. They came up on the stage first, and then Sarah got up on the stage to start the meditation. And we recognised that to close your eyes in a market square on a Saturday, where there's shoppers and everybody about, you need to have the confidence that you're being held. So each of the volunteers, there was about 15 of them, each had a long ribbon, colourful ribbon. And we created a circle, we created a bubble around all the people who were closing their eyes to meditate, so they knew that they were being held. And something happened in that moment. We found out later, and Susie and Sarah were witnesses to this, when we look back at the video, was we were told that the coffee shops, once the meditation started, the coffee shops, the shops all emptied. And the people saying, where's everybody gone? And there was rows upon rows of people stood behind the community angels. They obviously couldn't enter the circle because it was held, but people had kind of been magnetized in. So by the time we'd finished the meditation, there were so many people present. So we knew really that there was this magic elixir. And again, still early days in understanding what this is, what this energy that was co-created, which was love, which was peace, which was harmony. So from that, the heart math, we got a telephone call from the CEO from Heart Math, probably about 3 or 4 months later, saying, I understand that you've done a mass meditation event in your market square, and we're very interested in collaborating with you. Well, there was only me and a gentleman that I'd employed as a consultant. He says, we'd like to launch our new app. And it's a state-of-the-art app, their what do you call it? Their earpiece.
Sensor, is it on your ear? Is it?
Yeah, their sensor.
Yeah.
And this new app, and we need lots of people around the world to meditate together. And we launch the app, and we'll provide all the equipment, and we'll have these big machines, and it'll show you how many people, when they log on, it'll light up in this big map, and it'll show you how many thousands of people. So Gareth Andrews, CEO of the Brit and Ireland Heart Math, came up to Market Square and said, I'd like to sense into what this feels like, what you created. Oh my goodness, so many people happened to be in the Market Square that day going, hi Sue, God, that was a great event. You must do it again. It's like I'd planted all these people here. And I hadn't, honestly. So Gavin said, we need to do this, and we need to gather the people. So we spent about 8 months. Susie and Sarah flew in again, and we had this massive event in the monastery in Manchester. We had one in Nottingham. Sean did it, do you remember? And then we moved up to Manchester, into the monastery in Manchester, which is a very sacred place. And everybody was there. There were so many people there. And what happened was, everybody, we had, I've got the figures somewhere, it's about 52 countries and like 600 events. We got it all logged where everybody was and what they were doing. Then they came online, and then the map started lighting up where then the people, do you remember, Susie, it started scrolling, how many people were on, and it got to 10,000 and it got to 15,000. Then it blew up. Then it stopped working.
They blew the fuse. Yeah.
Yeah, we blew the fuse. I mean, thank goodness it was that way around, rather than they had all this technology and nobody came. So it was, we carried on regardlessly. And then it was the most incredible day, and it's all been recorded. It's on my website, mommworld.org, just a 6-minute clip. And then because they were, mommworld.org. Thank you. Because they were very despondent about this, they said, well, when it comes, always do it on International Mother's Day, May, second weekend of May. So Howard and Rowlin, the directors, said, we need to do this again. We'll do it on World Peace Day, and we'll get you a hotel, Sue, and we'll get you the people, and we'll get Facebook streamed, and we'll do this, that, and the other. Please just rock up, and we'll do you gather the people again. So we did, and then we'll lead a meditation, and this time the app worked. And we also got involved with Roger Nelson, who was monitoring it through the Global Coherence Project of the Schumann resonance during it. So it wasn't only us, it was World Peace Day. So there were people all over the world, again, for different organisations. and the energy rose and rose and rose. And yeah, how this happens, I don't know. There is such a willingness to look at and to feel into the possibilities of what a group, an individual with groups in community and then coming together in the world can do. And I truly, truly believe that we have the capacity, when as many of us do it together, and we're building to this, world peace is a real possibility, and it will be a quantum leap in Susie's terminology. That was a long answer. I hope that's...
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I have a couple of questions on that. Well, not a couple, maybe one. I'll start with one. Do you think, well, you did all of that, and you did it in such a way that I don't think you even imagined that it's going to be that big.
No.
Do you believe that you were guided to do that, or do you believe that you surrendered to it?
I think surrender was the first stage, and developing a relationship with source energy, and developing a relationship based on integrity and trust, and then following guidance. It certainly didn't come in every day, but I felt I just knew I had to keep working on myself, clearing all the blockages which I didn't even know I had, surrendering to that state of uncomfortableness when you meet yourself. What I really, really knew though, Ramsey, was I wasn't doing any of this on my own. I was being guided, but I also had the support of so many incredible people. What I had to learn to do was I ask. And that didn't come easy because I'm a bit of an independent soul. Oh, I'll do it. But then obviously recognizing that this is so much bigger than me, and asking, like, Susie, will you come? Sarah, will you come? Endless amount of people. Please, will you help support this? Please, will you give us money to make this happen? We were never looking for money for ourselves. We were all volunteers, but there was a lot of money required for hiring the market square and hiring, the tents, and then money came. And whatever we needed, when we were in that place of coherence, maybe even super coherence, that place of stillness, and then asked for what we needed, or asked, what do we need? One of the soul questions, what do I need? Something quite extraordinary. Turns out way beyond anything that I could make up. But one has to be present to be able to notice the synchronicities. Otherwise they pass you by, or they knock you on the head until you eventually wake up and listen, or notice where you're being guided. And if you're being guided and then you go down the rabbit hole, which is where I often am, I'm becoming more aware of the feelings and the sensations within the body that is guiding me, that is not where I should be. What we call the yum or the yuck. Is it yummy here and does time fly as you're just absorbed in it, or is it a real slog to make this happen? So I surrender, ask guidance.
I do have a follow-up question. So once you surrender and you clear up and you put yourself out there, because there's a massive trust, and not only trust in the outer world, but the trust on the inner self, from what I heard from you. And correct me if I'm misspeaking. So manifestation basically rises from that point of clarity. Is that what I understand correctly?
Yeah. Yes. As I see it, once if I say I move into that coherent place, which is where meditation and contemplative practices take me, and then consciously raise the energy field by the practice of opening the chakras, system. Maybe it's through mantra or through sound. And then from that place of coherence, clarity reveals itself through intuition, the inner tutor, the inner voice. And it's not a voice, is it? It's kind of a whisper or a direction. And being present to that it's funny and it's fun. You know, I constantly hear myself saying, well, I couldn't have made that up. Part of it, that doesn't make sense when things I'm going in the wrong direction. But the other one is, well, I couldn't have made that one up. And from that from clarity comes the creative voice of the awareness that something is emerging. Something is emerging. And then how I sense, for me, a lot of creativity is by telling somebody something's emerging. This is what I'm sensing, this is what I'm hearing or feeling, or these are the words that came through, or this is what I wrote down, or, you know, and it's a two-way share. Something, and then that we sort of enter into a bubble of conversation, dialogue and listening. And then something totally amazing often reveals itself, which I would not have been able to access, I don't believe, on my own. It's that collaboration, co-creativity and collaboration that is the juicy bit.
Yeah, I've been lucky. Sorry, Ramsey, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I've been very lucky over our friendship to experience and witness that with Sue directly. You know, we've been on these wild journeys in far-flung places, you know, across the US, the UK, Ireland. But it's that point where we all come into that state of coherence, which is, I suppose, what we experienced at the monastery in Manchester, that time of that mass event. And I think that's something that really has, I suppose, it's kind of drawn us to keep going. You know, it's kind of like the seed that just keeps calling us back and again and again. And I was listening to Satguru today because it was Mahashivatri yesterday, you know, and wow, like I just get so inspired by Satguru. He launched a new app yesterday called Miracle of Mind. And the app basically is a 7-minute meditation. And he said, like, if we have a challenge now with so many people, you know, having kind of their attention is just all over the place, if we can just get them to use, like, he doesn't like the term smartphone because they're not that smart if they're capturing, you know, if you're addicted to it. But he was saying if we can get them to use that app and do that meditation, like, he simplified it down to 7 minutes. And like, his goal is to get 3 billion people on the planet meditating. And during Mahashivatri, which is that kind of that night that it's a beautiful experience to do it live with him. You know, you can do it online. I think 1 million people downloaded the app over 15 hours, you know. So I do believe that you know, we've been planting those seeds. Those seeds have been we're nurturing them all the time. And, you know, it's very close to my heart. I know it's extremely close to yours. And I just want to move forward then with other things that you're also involved in, because, you know, we're still at the tip of the iceberg with you, Sue, in terms of the roles that you play. So you're a member, you're always doing voluntary stuff in the community, but always on a big scale. You're the Lieutenancy Commonwealth Group, a non-executive director for Positively Empowered Kids, which is a phenomenal group of people that I met as well with you. But also a member of the Welfare and Wellbeing Advisory Group for the Queen's, how'd you put it? The Queen's Nursing Institute of Scotland. And that's another, like, it just feels to me that you're going back into all of the places where, you know, that are meaningful to you, like, you know, with the children, with the nursing institute, you know, and as well, obviously your local community, but it's like, it's like, can you tell us a bit more what that feels like when you're being drawn into, whether it's the group in Scotland or the local group, or the more international work that you're doing as well?
Yeah, thanks, Susie. I think being a trusted source is kind of at the heart of this, because I'm not seeking anything other than helping people find each other. And you mentioning, I'll get to your question, but you mentioning Sadhguru, which I think is wonderful. My only concern that I've been shown again and again through journaling and intuition is if we have a mass awakening without the infrastructure to be able to support within community people who suddenly find that the reality that they were shown, taught, believed in is very different, it is already causing a mass mental health problem, because people are feeling unstable and ungrounded, and the new children being born, we know, are being wired for the digital age, so don't fit the education system. So it would appear that my role is again about building community and building the awareness that we have these superpowers. And it's actually really simple and really easy. And we get caught up in the complexities of life, and we get caught up in the complexities of sorting everybody else out and having views about everything that the media bring in and opinions and everything. But there are so many people on the ground who are activists, who are working in the world of care and compassion and empathy. And how can we as a group within a city, a town, some boroughs, actually activate this compassionate community model, so that the words that we're using at the moment, and it seems to really resonate, we're helping people who help people who are active in our city, in our community, to make our place a better place to live, work and thrive. That's quite a mouthful, really. But I think the key thing is there's so many of us helping people. If we're not careful, we get sucked into depletion because we can't change the world. We know we can only change ourselves. So I actually don't do anything. I help, advise, guide and kind of move around. And then have the intention of bringing people into the centre. So with Positively Empowered Kids, and that's growing. We have a festival once a year, and we had 4,000 people come last year. This year they've given us Nottingham Castle. We've got the whole grounds, and we know that any given time 6,000 people can be there, and then people will come and go, but they're able to monitor that. So we're growing all the time, but we're growing steadily and strongly and well, so that as this mass awakening is happening, we're hearing the voices of the people who are helping others. We're hearing the voices of the children. We've got a project called Youth Voice in Action. So we're hearing what the children who are going to be the leaders of the future are actually wanting, that they are being given voice. The Queen's Nursing Institute of Scotland, I absolutely adore the work that they're doing as community nurses, going into some very difficult places on their own. The vulnerability of that. I'm a district nurse myself, so I know how vulnerable one can be when one is going into certain places of deprivation and poverty with a bag of drugs, because you have to carry this, and things. So how do those nurses stay well? So we do programs for them. And what's the other one? Oh, the Lieutenancy. Yeah. So the Lieutenancy Commonwealth Group. I've often wondered why I'm in this group. I've been in here for 4 years. Like, why am I doing this? But it just felt the right thing to do, and I was asked to do it. But what's happened is we started to link the Commonwealth Group. So there's 56 Commonwealth countries. And they trade together and they support each other. And in these times of uncertainty, about nearly half the group are smaller than the UK, and then we've got Canada and Australia, who are and India, and who are big countries. But it's a group. It's a very supportive group. And majority, 60%, are under the age of 29, who are actually billions of people in this group. So we're the only place in the country who is running this Commonwealth group and leading from the forefront of what it could be like, where people who are from Commonwealth countries who reside in our community in Nottingham, Nottinghamshire, and what their culture, the way they dance, sing, talk, eat, how can we learn about the cultures of their country and embrace that and then bring it into the culture of where they're living here now, because we are so diverse, but giving them voices as well as part of our community, and we learn from them as well. We've had concerts, massive concerts where 800 people have come to see the culture and hear the poetry and the singing and the dancing and the magic and the music of people from Commonwealth countries who reside here. Very dynamic.
That's a lot to take.
It's a lot. I hadn't realised I'm doing all this, actually. Thanks for asking me.
I've still got 3 more to add. I'm not there yet. I'm not through your bio, but I'll let Ramsey interact there just for a bit before I go to the last section.
Thank you.
I just loved one thing, which is not helping each other, but I wrote it somewhere. Oh, helping people help people. That's just phenomenal. Creating a community of I don't know, young people that can take care of the future of the earth. I just want to say the earth. I don't want to use any other term, but that's phenomenal. And how is that done? Like, are there certain programs that you lead, or you just bring the expert into the group, or how is that done?
Well, we're all experts in our chosen field. So because I have been fortunate enough to lead quite a lot of groups over the years, I know people who are really very active and are quite happy in the emergent state of not knowing. Because I think we're all there. We keep showing up, but we don't really know why we're showing up. So when we had, the helping people who are helping people, when that came through, it was like, okay, let's invite people to come and let's sit in circle, let's meditate. We do heart-based meditations to start with. So we raise the energy to heart level. We create a safe space, and then we have a topic. But the topic really is to bring people together to start to talk, maybe in firstly a large circle. So there's usually about 18 to 20 of us. We've got a base of about 50 people so it's often different people each time that come. We've been going for about a year. And then we form little groups and we ask key questions within those little three to 5 people groups. And then we come back and we feedback. And then we come up with, and what was that all about? Why are we here? And what is it that we're learning together? And again, something emerges that was never in the pot as a known, that becomes the known as we sort of gather together towards the end. Like, oh my goodness. So we're very structured. So Susie might mention shortly that I'm a co-founder of something called Living Cities Earth. Oh, Susie, do you want to mention that, or shall I?
I'll just do a little kind of segue there then, because Sue is also a co-founder of Living Cities Earth, as well as a co-director of Feast for the Soul and an ambassador for the Charter of Compassion. And I think they're all sort of interlinked because they're more global. It's like going from the local to the kind of, expanding internationally. So yeah, it's phenomenal kind of what you've created, I suppose, in yourself, then to your street, to the local park and libraries and the local places, to the city. You really are the embodiment of that Rumi poem, that we often use on the feast.
Yeah.
about peace in the heart, and just you keep expanding it out and out. So yeah, do you want to just weave in there the Living Cities Earth? I think that's a really interesting.
I'm not very good at seeing the big picture. I understand the big picture, but I can't activate the big picture because it's too big for me. But I think one of my skills is being able to see this big picture and then take out strands and bring it here and ground it. So Living Cities Earth started about 18 months ago. A group of people, small group of people, came together to with the intention of humaning well together. What does that look like? How can a living city become more alive? And how can a city that is struggling start to become more alive and thrive? So a beautiful lady by the name of Marilyn Hamilton, who is a friend as well. She lives in Scotland. She's from Canada, lives in Scotland, in Findhorn. She came to stay with me because we were doing some work together with the Youth Voice in Action group. And she started talking to me about becoming a co-founder of this organisation. So that's livingcities.earth. That's the total website. And excuse me, something's just popped up. So she was with me for a week, and she started. What was beautiful about it was an emergence, and she was sharing with me the thoughts and ideas of what a living city could look like. And a lot of this is based on her work, and that comes from spiral dynamics and Ken Wilber and the whole integrative integral model. And what we do is we gather the voices of our communities together. What does that look like? Well, we see the city as a human hive, a hive of activity. And in that hive of activity, there are citizens who make up the biggest proportion. We're all citizens, no matter what else we're doing. But say 93% of the people are citizens, but we don't have agency as citizens. We are all individual people going about our business. So that's one of the voices. Another of the voices is the voice of governance, which is the town council, the city council, who hold the power because they hold the money, and they decide where they're going to give the money to the city. So they have to fund health and fire and police, but then all the charities, etc. So another voice of the four voices is conscious business. These are the people who have their businesses in our city, who employ huge amounts of people, or maybe just a few people, but they also have CSR, community social responsibility as well. And the fourth voice, but it's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's one of the four voices. Is the voice of the what we call the third sector, which is the voluntary sector and the faith communities, who are usually passionate individuals. They've found their purpose, and they work hard and passionately to raise awareness of the various charities, the CICs, and also, the religious communities as well. So those four voices, we know that if we have a problem and we can get representatives from those four voices to come together, to sit, to share a space together and pop a situation, a problem, or an idea into the center of it, and then gather around it thoughts and ideas. So we do what we call the 4 deeps: deep listening, deep dialogue, deep diversity, democracy, and then the deep ecological part to it, because we are part of Mother Earth, so she must always be remembered. And we bring that into the wholeness of the conversation. Again, novel solutions arise. So we look at this through what we call the 4 Ps. So it's about the Gaia codes of care, Gaia being Mother Earth. Care for person first, ourselves, person. We care for ourselves, we naturally radiate out our energy field to people, and we find each other. And the next area we radiate out to is our place, our community, where we live, work, and love. That's why we live there. And the fourth P is planet. So we radiate out, but it also comes the other way. If we start our discussions, if we're looking at community gardens and how we can start to involve more people in gardens, we start with planet, because we start with Mother Earth, we start with soil and growth. And then we say, well, how can we bring this into our place? What can we do? What great initiatives are out there that we can mirror together, the people and ourselves doing it. So Living Cities Earth, being a simple soul, thinking, how can I bring this into knots? We set up Living Cities Knots. So it's the first of, there's 120 co-founders of Living Cities Earth who are change makers. They are very active people, and you can find them all on the website. But how can we bring this to create a blueprint, create a model? So that's what we're doing. There's 4 of us who are playing our little busy bee parts. And we each come from one of those 4 voices, really. And it's like, how can we find more and more people who are helping people in our community and represent those 4 voices and sit in dialogue and listen? And that's what we're doing. And it's kind of working magic. It's weaving. We call it meshworking, that we're weaving something. And we're very clear that we actually don't really know what we're doing. We have this intention, we have this vision, but how we get there is unfolding in front of us. We feel like every so often, like, a golden carpet is thrown down or rose petals. It's like, oh, that's what happens when we review it. So that's what we'll do next. So there is that joyfulness with it. There is the fun part. There is the it's okay not to know part. It's okay to, someone said the other day to me, I don't have a comfort zone anymore, because I just go and do it. Oh, I like that. I'm going to stop having a comfort zone. I'm just going to, as long as I feel safe and feel protected, I will go out where I'm shown. And people, more and more people are doing this. Yeah, so it's great. And then Charter for Compassion is very important to me, because compassion is at the heart of the original vision, co-creating compassionate communities. And it's at the heart of care. So it's at the heart of nursing. So it's at the heart of love. And it's an energy, and it's one that Charter for Compassion are doing the most incredible work. And I was lucky to be in Mexico with them in October with the Peace Laureate, the Nobel Peace Prize Laureate Summit, and met some of them.
Wow.
Chatted to them, and I thought, oh, crikey, here am I at this table with these people.
The little girl from Nottingham has really spread her wings. I think you definitely found your purpose and all of that. There's no fear of you, Sue, whatsoever. And I'm just going to pull in where you were talking about the planets aligning, because I just want to plug something in here. So we'll mention more about it at the end of the call, but the planets are actually aligning tomorrow. Gosh knows what the implication of that will be for you, Sue. Pay attention is what I'd say. But tomorrow is all 7 planets are aligned on the 28th of February. And we're doing a little pop-up connection. So we're doing an event that's going to be just coming together, pop in. It's a free event. We're doing a meditation basically during that event, which is just feeling that alignment that's happening above as below and connecting with that part of ourselves. Because look what happens, like you're just a living expression of it. What happens when you get quiet, when you start to do a daily practice, and when you really begin to listen and trust, like you've been saying all along. And it's not just about you then anymore. It's this huge global message, this co-creation of compassionate communities. And I just want to also get in here, because I see the time's gone really fast today, I have to say, with you, Sue. But I want to be one of the first to congratulate you from our sector here on your award as a Mesh Worker of the Year for 2024, for your passion in holistic well-being in individuals and integrating compassionate communities which are creative and empowered. Like, no better girl to have such a, an honor awarded on you. Absolutely. So thank you for that. I'll just let you kind of finish it up. And if Ramsey had anything else he wanted to share as well.
Well, I just wanted to summarize. It was a beautiful conversation. I really enjoyed every bit of it. Although we spent the weekend in where was it? In Devon. But I never knew to that level of details of the things that you do, and that, like, actually the expression is floored me. Busy bee, but the key points that actually resonates very well, and I hope everybody who listens to this podcast will be able to pick up from your conversation is surrender. It is a very important thing. Is surrender, trust, go with the flow, have a big heart, compassionate heart, care for the people, and create your tribe. I hope I summed it up well, but I know, like, I can't even repeat what you do because that will take an episode of an hour.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's you do what you do, and you just get on doing it. I'm grateful for an opportunity to share this because it's made me stop and reflect on all the elements. And what I'm really being shown now is all those organizations and ambassadorships and things are actually starting to weave into one big whole, WHOLE, that the separateness is starting to move, very much like Indra's web, the spider's web. It's like, oh, I can see the connection between that and that now. I can see the connection. So it's become easier. There's less to do because it's doing itself, really. I just show up where I am shown to show up. And yeah, there's lots more to do, though. Apparently it's not stopping. It's accelerating. For us all.
You trusted the whole process from day one, not knowing where day two is going to be. And I think that's, if anybody wants to take something out of this, it's just the trust part of it and allowing it to go. Just don't think. And one of the things I noticed when we were in the retreat in Devon is that you follow your heart. You found the heart in the middle of the forest, which was phenomenal. That was awesome. And I think that is the drive that will change the world. Not only yourself, but the world around you.
Yeah. It comes from the heart, doesn't it? That's the energy center of connection. And I also sense it's the feminine toned in all of us energy of the nurturing mother, because of Mother Earth and Mother Moon, the two together. And so it's not gender based. It's that toned humanity of wanting to care, wanting to nurture, it's a deep desire, isn't it, in us all, that you don't want to see anybody harmed, and you want to help. So that's what I class as the mother energy. That's why I love mom, because that oozes through. How can I help? How can I serve? And yeah, keep having fun. That is the, and I keep being amazed that this energy is providing something for us that we couldn't do if we even thought about it. You think that's ridiculous, and look what happens.
I'm going to read you a comment that's in our chat here from Marita McCarthy, one of the viewers. She says, ripples of love come from you, Sue. I love the idea of not having a comfort zone anymore. Everything could and should be my comfort zone. So it's lovely that you're just passing it on again and again. We'll have to have you back, I think. You know, I think there's just so much more. Like, I'd love to know more about your personal practice, you know, the personal transformations in your own personal life as well, because it's been quite the journey, and there's definitely more to share. I feel like Ramsey said, I think we've just got the tip of the iceberg so far. But
Wow.
yeah. But thank you so much from my heart to yours and from all of the team. Kathy isn't here, but I know she was really looking forward to this, and I'd say she'll look forward to, you know, catching it on the recording on Spotify or on YouTube. And yeah, you've been an ace guest. We're really, really grateful.
Thank you.
Your website is mommworld.org, isn't it? And Self-Care World, is that still going?
I've closed that down temporarily
Okay.
because there's too much coming in. So I'm putting everything on Mom World. So yeah, that's the place to go to subscribe.
There you go. It's there on the ticker.
For having me, and all the very best with your show. I will continue to listen. I'll come in through YouTube. So thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much for being with us. We just crossed the hour by a minute. You want to close it
and
up?
Just before you stop the live, Ramsey, I'm going to plug who's coming next week, because we have another special guest who's plugged in, and he's this is the interconnectivity of all of us. It's James Mallins, and he's based in Wales now, but I met him in Nottingham through Sue, and he's our guest for next week. So we're really looking forward to that. So do tune in again next week for that.
Thank you. That's awesome news. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. And we'll see you next Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. For now, thank you and have an awesome evening.
Thank you.